You're listening to Music for a While, Westben's podcast devoted to exploring the wonderful world of performance. Today's episode is a very special one. Brian Finley sits down virtually with actors from our upcoming digital concert at the Barn for the Birds. Live from their homes, we are so grateful to have Chick Reid and Tom McCammus of the Stratford and Shaw Festival Theatres, and so much more. Deb McGrath of Little Mosque in the Prairie, and Colin Mochrie of Whose Line Is It Anyway, and so much more as well. This episode is sponsored by Kinch Eddy Litigation and Finley and Associates. To learn all about our generous sponsors, please explore the description below or visit our website. While you're listening, I invite you to engage with the podcast by subscribing or following wherever you may be listening from. Now please enjoy this fun and thoughtful chat with Brian Finley about how four brilliant actors have created new understandings of what an audience can look like.
Hi everybody, I'm Brian Finley. Welcome to the Westben Farmhouse. It's wonderful to have everybody here. Deb McGrath and Colin Mochrie, welcome guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom McCammus and Chick Reid, welcome.
Hi, hi.
Nice to see everybody. It's just so great. I wanted to start with a really big fat thank you to all of you, not only for joining me here today to have a chat, but also for that wonderful session that we had a few weeks ago, recording For the Birds, one of our digital concerts at the Barn. And I don't know does anyone remember doing that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Well, but you know, it was a piece that we developed in response and because of COVID-19 and the fact that we are all isolated, and it was a piece about finding audiences. And I just thought it'd be really fun to chat with you guys a little bit about your reactions to society nowadays and reactions to being a professional in this kind of a situation. So Deb, I actually wanted to start with you. Do you have a dog in the house by chance?
Hang on just a moment. Dilly! Wait, do we have the jar in case?
That's amazing. That worked like a charm.
That's amazing. It doesn't ever work. We have to shake a jar of coins at him. And then he turns his tail under and is so terrified I feel horrible.
Well, that's okay. I was going to start by asking you, what's it like to have Colin underfoot for, month upon month upon month?
Well, I know it reeks of insert joke here, but we're apart so much. This has been a joy. And we wondered, because, when people say, oh, we got along great till they retired, it's been the opposite. At the beginning, I did employ a conversation between us about what the pitfalls could be. And all I said was, if we're bugging each other, we've got to speak about it and sort it out so that it doesn't become the thing. And it's been fantastic. It's been great. Delightful, and I'm grateful for this time.
Yeah, Colin, would you agree with that? Or should I move on?
All right. It's actually been wonderful. This is the first time in literally decades that I've spent this amount of time at home. So it's been really nice spending time with Deb and Kinley. And, we both still have a lot to do during this time. So we still don't spend that much time together. We're in different parts of the houses doing our different projects. And then the night is when we actually sort of relax. We have a glass of wine.
Watch our stories.
Watch our shows.
Yeah, and how are those empties coming along?
Yeah.
Well, what about the Reid McCammus household? How are things going for you? You guys had a huge summer planned. I know that, and things worked out so completely differently.
Yeah, we both had a season at the Shaw Festival this year, and our first day of rehearsal was March 16th. So we went into the theater for 10 o'clock, March 16th, and we walked out at 11:15.
Oh,
and that was that. We rehearsed online for about 8 weeks after that from the farm. And so we're home. And the silver lining is that we're home.
Yeah, that's great. What was Shaw going to look like for you? Like, for example, how many shows would you guys have been doing? What sort of things?
We would have been doing, we were in one together, and then we were two other ones. So we would have been in 3 shows altogether, the two of us anyway.
Right. And that's way more than 3 performances, is it not?
Yes. Yeah, quite a few more.
Yeah,
you
we
still
were, we would each have had 8 show weeks pretty much every week of the season.
right, and you'd still be going now, would you not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll go
Right.
to
Yeah.
to
So
October.
that's quite a well, that's quite a different summer for you guys as well too. Well, Colin, I wanted to ask you, as a comedian, you're a comedian, right?
Well, depends who you talk to.
We'll take whatever you got. That's fine.
Sure.
But I know most comedians love animals, almost all animals. But there's one animal that comedians really don't like, and that's crickets.
Yes.
So,
Good one.
so
Good
I
setup.
No,
Didn't know
it
where
was
you were
lovely. No.
going.
well, I kind of I wondered what everybody thought of, we this new thing about no audiences, which is a big part of not working. And when we do work, we are doing it in situations that don't involve audiences. So what's that like, Colin? What do you feel like when you're, because improv is demands so much from your audience, and you get so
Yeah.
much from everybody.
My partner, Brad Sherwood, and I have been actually doing virtual touring through a technology I don't understand.
It's incredible.
He is in Vegas, I'm in Toronto,
Wow.
but it looks like we're in the same room interacting. We can go into audiences' living rooms and interact with them. So we've done 3 or 4 shows, and it's been good, but it's still that thing of you don't hear any laughter, which Brad is used to, but it really throws me. And it just makes you appreciate how big a part the audience is. Not only them paying, but there's an energy that they bring to the show. In
Yeah.
our show, they're our third improviser. They give us suggestions. They're with us on stage, and we build a relationship with them. And it's very hard being that one step removed through Zoom.
Yeah,
And I was
absolutely.
watching them. I saw some of their shows. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
It would blow your mind.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you guys have just got to be confident that you're funny. Instead of, wow, that was quiet. Well, it's going to be quiet. But still, even with that knowledge, it takes a while to get over the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, as a pianist myself, and usually when I play, I'm fairly serious when I have to, when things are going, and it's audiences are a huge part of the silence as well too. I find the whole situation where you have feedback through listening, actually, through there's awareness. So I don't know if we can find that digitally or online. How are you finding that situation of that, do you miss your audience, I suppose?
I do so. I miss that a lot. I love performing. It's why I'm still doing it after 150 years. So, but so I
Hey,
miss
we're the
that,
same age.
yeah, you knew that. Deb and I have known each other since we were 4.
Right.
So what, 30 years now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Tom and I did a little performance thing this summer by telephone for Fourth Line Theater in over in Cavan,
Right.
and it was we were given monologues from plays they have done over the years, and their patrons were able to phone the theater, book the actor, book the time, and at the prescribed time we picked up the phone and said, "Hi, it's Chick. You're ready for your speech?"
Well-
And Tom did. You did about 4 of them, and I did 4 of them, and we would perform this monologue over the phone.
Goodness, is that
Then
legal?
at
I
the end
suppose.
of it, it was like, "That's it. Thanks very much." And so then we would have a little chat with the patron. It was really fascinating, but even on the phone, you were still expecting a little bit of a or
Like
Right.
it was like they were just listening, right? Which is great.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a fantastic idea, honey.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom, how are you feeling about it?
Well, I mean, we've done that. I did a thing for the Toronto Medicine Choir as well too, some
Yeah.
readings, but that was more a recorded thing that they gave them, which was pretty fascinating to do. But for the most part, I've just been chainsawing and stacking wood and putting roofs on houses and things like that. So I'm not missing performing at all. I'm just having a great time doing it.
Well, and from some of your from some of the videos that you've taken with your field cameras, I know that you're not without an audience.
That's right. That's my Facebook
Yeah,
audience.
exactly.
Post
Just
drone.
quite a different audience. Well, I'd love to talk a little bit about For the Birds, which was the show that we cobbled together here a couple of weeks ago, and that will be airing next week, September 19th is when we premiere it on the Westben website, and at 2:00 on the 19th, and it'll live there for quite some time, and we're so looking forward to it. It really is fun. But the piece was about the search for an audience. And I remember cobbling together a couple of emails to send to you guys. And Deb, you were the first back. I think I got yours back before I sent mine. It was that fast with a positive reaction. So what enticed you about this project? What kind of caught your imagination about what this might be?
Well, we're newer to Westben than Chick and Tom, but it was really you, your family, Westben. It was really the the place, the energy, the beautiful venue, and the idea of doing something to remind people that you're still there and doing it in a really clever way, in a way that we're all feeling about the absence of hugging, the absence of face to face. I just thought it was a wonderful idea. I mean, as we've said, as we talked to Chick and Tom that day about it, we're going to be, all of us, technically the last at the trough. And yet, ironically, it's the artists, from ballerinas to stand-up comedians to Shakespearean actors, who have kept people full of joy and through this period. So I also felt it was so important to do it.
Well, thank you. We are frontline workers after all.
Yeah.
We really are. Well,
Okay.
and I should point out too that it was an interesting combination of artists that we gathered for the Birds. Chick, I think Deb, do you not?
I do so.
Yeah, and so it was kind of fun to try and find a way to combine all these fabulous talents to see if we could come up with something. So I gave you nothing and thought, well, there you go, off you go.
Oh, just the notion of it was, it gave us such a good place to start, though. I mean, it was really wide open, and then, and we never worked together, the four of us, and so this was a great opportunity to do this. I mean,
What fun.
Deb and I did a television special, a Christmas television movie in 19, and that was the last time.
Sorry, I missed that. Okay.
Well, you
That's
just weren't
important to the
listening very
story.
well.
That's
You just
right.
have to listen harder.
And
but
you
that
worked
was-
on a
that-
thing with Colin too, Caroline.
That's right. This
Yeah.
this is how Deb and I got reconnected after because we knew each other since literally little girls through school. Then we both went kind of different ways, and we'd check in the odd time, but that was it. And I was hired to do a workshop of a screenplay, and this guy Colin Mochrie was in it, and we were and I'd never met him before, and we were doing our thing, and we had gone out for lunch. And Colin said, it's so funny. You so remind me of my wife. It's the weirdest thing.
Careful when guys say that to you. I just say.
And I said, and who might your wife be? And it was Deb. And it was like, are you kidding? And then that kind of got us back, right, Deb?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there was no World Wide Web.
No.
And so we just lost contact. It was
Yeah.
never gee, let's stop this friendship. It was, and
Great.
life, and each of
Yeah.
us, forging our careers. And
Well, and here you are on one Zoom call. How cool is that? Boy, just talk about full circle. Well, Tom, it was interesting what you and Chick decided to contribute to this show, which I thought was really inspirational. Can you tell us a little bit about the monologues that you guys brought to this thing?
Yeah, I guess we were kind of left to our own devices on what we would be, because we were discovered actually performing to no one. So we had to figure what we were going to do. And we've done, we do a lot of Shakespeare. So, but I think Chick was doing Shakespeare, and then I decided to do a little I don't know why I was going to do Shakespeare, and then all of a sudden I went, I think maybe I'll do Jabberwocky, which is something that I actually got to do in a play. I got to sit in a great big stuffy chair and read it when we were doing a show at Stratford, so I had remembered it. But it's such a wonderful piece of nonsense that I thought,
Oh,
take that
fantastic.
opportunity.
So what was it like reciting that under a tree to Colin Mochrie, and that was it?
Well, he wasn't too impressed with my performance, so so that was, you know, that
was
was
acting.
yeah. So it was fun.
Oh yeah, it was great. And Chick, what about you? What did you bring to the show?
Well, I think you planted the seed because you mentioned monologue, and whenever I think of monologue, I go straight to Shakespeare, right? And frankly, I wanted to do something chiefly that I didn't have to memorize because I wanted to keep the day really stress-free. So I didn't want to do a new piece and have to self-direct and all that stuff. So I thought, oh, I'll do something that I've done 1,000 times, and it was the epilogue from Midsummer Night's Dream, Puck. And it was something that I knew very well because I played it a number of years ago. And it was also really fitting because the speech is actually asking for applause. That's what Puck is doing. And so when the notion of asking for applause, and I used to get it at Stratford, funnily enough, but the notion of asking for applause and not getting it is really, it was really kind of, I thought it was fitting, but it was also kind of, it was kind of sad, actually,
Yeah,
when, because you weren't not getting applause because you stunk out the joint. There just weren't people there.
Right,
So
exactly. And as you know, it's an unforgettable thing, like Tom sitting under the tree doing Jabberwocky. To see you reciting that over this gorgeous, gorgeous meadow, kind of into silence and with such interesting non-response, yet so alive. It's really, really wonderful.
It's great to perform outdoors because that's something that, you know, certainly we don't get to do a lot. I mean, it's more part of Westben because, you know, even though you're in the barn, you've got those big open doors and stuff like that.
Exactly. And yeah, we really wanted to make sure these digital concerts at the barn focused on the Westben experience, that whole thing of inviting nature into this because it's such a beautiful part of the artistic expression. Colin, we also involved a lot of field artists on that production, and you were super interacting with all of those guys. What was your reaction to working with? There were 5 of them: 2 dancers, a cellist, a fiddle player, and a singer. And you were just great. How was that?
They were all great, and it was fun to improvise with them, especially with the dancers who weren't verbal in any way. We were just kind of communicating through dance and what I was assuming they were saying. So it was a nice little improv exercise of working with these people who I don't think have ever improvised before, and yet engaging them and having a scene with them. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
And
very.
of course, the music was beautiful. Like the cello, both Deb and I love the cello. One of Deb's cousins is a majorly respected cello player. So that also kind of made it also feel a little like home.
Right. Yeah. Well, Matt Svoboda is a sweet guy and a beautiful, beautiful player. So that was great. Well, I just, you know, I have to thank you guys for diving right in. It's one of the big, one of the things I love personally about Westben is this mix of local, international, amateur, professional, and the whole wash of things that people are just coming together to explore what can happen when people come together. It's very wonderful, and that actually is the thing that I miss the most through this COVID situation. We've really built our whole organization on bringing people together, and that's obviously been really challenged. So what do you think's next for the world, Chick? Where are we going? What's going to happen? When are we ever going to be able to do this live for an audience? I mean, that would really be fun.
It would be so good. And you know, I don't like to be pessimistic about it. I choose to use the word realistic. I'm not holding big hopes that we're going to be able to do this anytime soon live. It's so unpredictable. There's so many factors. You know, once you go, Well, I feel safe enough now to walk into a rehearsal hall, and I feel confident enough in this director to direct us safely, and totally confident with that. But that's just this bit of it, right? The rest is like, who wants to come? Lots of people want to come, but who wants to come so badly they're ready to come, and they're ready to risk, and and I think of, oh, I'm gonna cry. Like, I think of walking out on stage for the first time after all this, and it makes me weak, because I just can't imagine what's going to be feeding everybody.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
don't know when that's going to happen. I
I know I
really,
have that same feeling too. It just sometimes music goes charging through my soul, and I superimpose it onto the grounds in front of people, just being filled up, and oh, it takes your breath away, doesn't it?
it
Uh,
does. It really
yeah,
does. And I think when it does happen, when we are able to get into a room together, audience and us, and we are able to start doing what we do, I don't know how any actor is going to get through the performance,
yeah, it's
because
gonna
I
be
think
tough.
it's going to be just so, like,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
big
it's just
emotion.
going to be so big, and for the audience members too. I mean, imagine myself sitting in an audience and watching something. I don't know how much I'm going to hear or see, because I'll
Yeah.
be crying. But it's
Well,
this, right? But
yeah. To me, you sound really excited to get back. So that's a great thing, and let's make it so. Deb, what are you thinking for the future? What are
Well, it's funny. One of the things we did for Kinley's birthday, we went to the Van Gogh Interactive, and it was quite fantastic. Um, but we're all in circles, and you're put there. And I, like Carol Ann just did, or Chick, sorry, Carol Ann. um, I lost it. I was quite overwhelmed with emotion, um, not just at the art, which we love, but like a flower pushes its face toward the sun, there were people sitting in drawn circles with masks on, so delighted to see art, so delighted to see a show. And it made me realize that human beings will always make it work. That's what we do. We will always push our faces toward the sun. But like Chick was saying, I'm very hopeful for Stratford and Shaw to open next spring. I think it's a possibility. I really do. If people smarten up, then we'll be able to get back to it. Um, but it's going to be frightening. We're going to a nephew's wedding in Kingston, and we don't want to go inside. So we're driving the 3 hours, watching the outdoor wedding, having a cocktail, wide lensing a picture with he and the bride, getting in our car, driving 3 hours home.
yeah.
We can't miss it, but we're not prepared to go into an enclosed space. And I know Second City has opened. They opened this week. Our daughter is a server there and got an email. And there were like, how many people did it look like in the paper? 50, like I think there were 30 in a 300-seat theater. And they described it as being, they asked for a suggestion. The audience is nervous because they're also not surrounded by other peeps.
Yeah.
So I think there are many elements, but I do think once it starts, it will become normal. It's just if the actors, for example, Carol Ann and Tom, have the nerve to go back into a rehearsal hall, I think they can do a season where it's half full. And that depends on if we start bringing it down again. But I'm
Great, exactly.
hopeful, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Oh, good. That's great to hear. Tom, how are you feeling about things?
I don't know. I sort of, like I say, I'm enjoying this time of not performing, actually. So I'm not as anxious to get back doing that, because it's allowing me to not always have plays in my head or any, worrying about the future or anything. All I can do is just actually deal with today, and which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
kind of what you always want to be as an actor anyway. So maybe I'm learning how to do that. And I do think that when we finally do get back to it, it's going to be different. We won't just sort of go, okay, let's pick up where we left off. I don't think we'll be able to do that, and I think that'll be quite extraordinary. So, but for the moment, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking about what I do right now.
Well, if you're an enormously observant actor, you seem to soak things up as you walk through a room. So there's plenty to soak up at the moment. So it's going to come out in a wonderful way. And Colin, what are you looking forward to, or what do you think of the future?
It's weird. The last 17 years, my life has been airplanes and theaters in the States. And both those things I don't think will be a part of my life in the immediate future. What I found really interesting about this time was, and doing this show with Brad, was we both had this creative outburst where we were really inspired to come up with a different way of doing our show for the limitations we have with Zoom. And I'm hoping, and I think that's going to be happening throughout the community. There's going to be people figuring out, how do we get past, they're doing soap operas where people are having love scenes with mannequins, and they're shooting it in a way that they can get. So I believe in the creative process enough that people are going to figure out a way to do this. It'll be safe and yet still engaging and still involve the audience. And that's my hope, because I think, like Chick says, I think it's going to be a little while before we get back to anything close to normal.
Well, I think you're right. And from our point of view here at Westben, we're just trying to keep the door open on any new possibility, because this is the time, obviously, to try new things and to explore kind of boldly. You need to. And one of our big desires is to make sure that the people who love what happens at Westben stay with us and keep supporting the whole thing. So I wanted to thank you all so much for your wonderful, outstanding support of us here at Westben, and let alone for all you've done for generations of people. And well, not generations, you're not that old, you guys, but it's just
depends on your outlook.
Anyway, you've given us all so much, and just on behalf of myself, I appreciate it. So thank you all so much. So we're looking forward to For the Birds. It's going to be a fun little exploration, and for us, it's going to be a wonderful memory of a great time spent together. And so looking forward to doing this live sometime, or even like this again. Why not?
Sure.
We got to enjoy it on the way through. Anyway, Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, take care, and we'll see you all again.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Very well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Clark, and I'm the editor of this podcast. I would like to give a couple thank yous. Right off the bat, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. Thank you also to Deb and Colin and Chick and Tom for your insight and your generosity. And as always, thank you, Brian, for such a wonderful conversation. If you are listening on YouTube, please click like, comment, and subscribe to let us know that you're here. If you have found us on iTunes, Spotify, or any other platform, please follow the podcast to be notified when future episodes are released. Our next digital concert at the barn featuring this incredible group is called For the Birds and will premiere on the Westben digital venue and on our YouTube channel at 2 o'clock on Saturday the 19th. We so look forward to seeing you there. We invite you to contribute a donation towards the Digital Concerts at the Barn series to help Westben keep creating meaningful performances in new and innovative ways. This digital performance is made possible through the support of the government, your generous donations, and our wonderful sponsors. The Blue Sky sponsor of this episode of the podcast is Kinch Eddy Litigation. Kinch Eddy Litigation is a litigation-focused law firm based in Campbellford. Kat Kinch, barrister and solicitor, practiced in downtown Vancouver before returning to her hometown. She is proud to offer legal services in the community that provided her first jobs and early education. Drop by their newly renovated office space at 45 Bridge Street East in Campbellford. Thank you also to our Galaxy sponsor, Finley & Associates. As always, if you have any questions percolating about this digital concert series, or really anything at all, please submit them to westben@westben.ca to have them answered by Brian Finley in a mailbag episode coming to you soon. Take care.